Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts. We are digging into the AP Top 25 for this week, baby.
And I'm hyped. Let's just get right into it because I'm ready for some college football talk. Oregon, of course, is number one. Georgia following them. Ohio State, Miami, Texas. You were talking about Georgia and the Ole Miss matchup could get a little interesting right there.
Yeah, this is a super interesting matchup. Again, like I've said previously, Georgia, they've put together really good halves. They have not put together a solid beginning to end game. Can they do that against this Ole Miss team? And this Ole Miss team that last week looked very impressive. They go out there and they beat Arkansas. It is in Ole Miss, so they're gonna have the home field advantage. The place is gonna be rocking. That's a sneaky game. I don't know. I don't believe in Ole Miss, but if they can get this win, that puts them right back in the mix as far as being a super contender in the SEC and in the college football playoffs.
And I'm going to give a sneaky pick for an interesting matchup here in the top five. Georgia Tech versus Miami. Georgia Tech, I think, has a pretty good squad. They have a solid team. I've watched a good amount of Georgia Tech this season. They have a good run game. Their defense can be really solid at times. And there's a reason Miami was nervous against Louisville. There's a reason people were nervous that they could lose to Louisville. It's because this team hasn't faced a lot of great competition. And they've looked bad at times. Cam Ward has struggled at times. And there was 2 to 3 games that they should have lost. So I'm just putting a little upset, maybe trap game alert here, Georgia Tech.
Well, I'll see your trap game and I'll raise you a trap game.
Whoa.
Texas, Florida.
Oh,
This Florida team went out there and with their third string quarterback almost beat Georgia, was tied through 3 quarters. And realistically, if DJ Lagway was actually out there, I think that they would have won this game. They've been scrappy this entire year. I had Billy Napier fired in week 3, and they've just gone out there and they've stuck around with high-level competition, and they've just continued to figure out ways to just be competitive. Can they do it against Texas? I don't know, but that is a sneaky, if you're Texas, you could be overlooking this Florida team.
There was an outrage of Florida fans mad at the announcement that they were keeping Napier as the coach in Florida, but I think he just hasn't done enough to lose the job yet.
Yeah, it was honestly in the first couple of weeks, he did enough to lose the job. He's then rebounded, and the team has looked salvageable. I think they should still move off of him, but obviously they've thrown out feelers, and that's another, we'll talk about that another time, but I think that he should be let go. I don't think you should keep him, but I think that he's done enough to where you feel good moving off of him and someone else picking him up and be like, hey, we got a solid coach.
All right, now we're getting 7 through 12, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame, Bama, Boise. Now, Indiana faces Michigan this week, and I think they need to keep on showing dominance. They need to flex on this team and blow out Michigan. Just put them fully out of their misery on the season, blow out Michigan. And that's what they need to, because if they lose to Ohio State, they need to be able to show, well, look what we did outside of that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the narrative's out there on Indiana. They don't have a strong strength of schedule. They haven't faced really good opponents. So what you have to do is go out there and blow out bad teams. Michigan still has a sneaky defense. You got to go out there and prove that our offense is one of the elites of this entire nation. You got to go out there and do that. The matchup that everyone's waiting for, I believe, this week is that Bama LSU game. That is going to be lights out. I am so excited for this one.
I think I saw an announcement that there's going to be a live tiger on the sideline. Yes. If there's any game that LSU fans and the whole program is getting up for, it's this game. Bama has shown that they are human this season, that they are vulnerable at times. And LSU, I mean, it's week to week where I'm like, I don't know if LSU's good. I don't know if they're amazing. And this could be a week that they really put themselves back into the mix.
But with that, LSU has shown that they struggle with mobile quarterbacks. And guess who's rolling into town? Jalen Milroe. And if there's any guy who could expose a defense that has trouble with athletes, it's going to be Jalen Milroe. We know that he has improved as a passer, but realistically, his bread and butter is showing that he has elite athleticism. So that could be a huge problem for this LSU defense. And if so, can your offense compete and roll at I could see this being a heavy offense game, just basically no defense, even though it's a SEC game. I could see this being a shootout.
Yeah, I keep having flashbacks to the South Carolina LSU game where Sellers is going off, Nussmeier's struggling, and really the refs kind of,
Helped them. They helped them.
helped them a lot in that game. So I think that could work out the same kind of way where Bama kind of runs the score up on them pretty early here. But we'll see.
What do you think? You have to make a decision. Bama or LSU? Who's winning?
I think Bama, this is nuts on the table time. This is Bama, your season's on the line. You have to beat a team that you're better than, air quotes, in order to stay in the playoff race. I think Bama has to show out and win it. But I question Kalen DeBoer play calling. Let's let Milroe run. Like, that's what he does. Don't make him a pocket passer. Run the ball and just get the win and get out of there.
I'm going to go with LSU. I think LSU ends up figuring it out defensively. I know we've seen them struggle at times with mobile quarterbacks, but they've had a week to really game plan about this. And if this is going to be any time to step it up, it's going to be right now. Playoff future on the line. Let's go out there and get it. This is a big boy game, and Brian Kelly needs to prove it this year because there have already been chirps about him at LSU that he doesn't fit. He's not a good coach. He can go out there and shut up the haters if he goes out there and gets a staple win this week.
Well, yeah, you choose LSU. You're a big Nussmeier guy. You're all about the Nussy.
Shut the fuck up.
bro's going crazy on the Nussy over there.
That's you crazy.
All right, so we got 13. SMU versus Boston College. I'm really excited for this matchup because
next week.
Oh, I have to wait a full week for SMU Boston College, but good for SMU because they're one of the first ones out in the playoff race, and a couple teams fall off. They just easily walk up into that top 12. LSU, Bama, A&M should be able to walk through New Mexico State. Ole Miss here. Iowa State, who lost last week, right?
Yep.
They face Kansas, who's been kind of hot and cold this year, and Army needs to beat North Texas to stay undefeated, keep the dream alive for the Notre Dame game, and hopefully win your way to a playoff.
Yeah, two teams where it actually might be beneficial that they have buys this week are the first two out. It's SMU and Texas A&M. You take your bye week, you get a paper win, and you move forward. I just don't know. Okay, so the Big 12 is going to be super interesting moving forward. I could see realistically any of them coming out on top of here, but now that Iowa State has lost, they are tied for second place with Colorado, and at the top is BYU. So they're only one game ahead of everybody else. That's going to be super interesting. And this Kansas team, they suck. I mean, they were hyped. They were thinking that, hey, we're going to go out there and do this, but can Iowa State, after dropping a game to the Red Raiders, can they rebound? Is it just going to break their psyche, or are they going to rally and be like, okay, you know what? We fell. Let's get up. Let's pick ourselves up. We'll dust ourselves off. If not, it could be a two-horse race with Colorado and BYU moving forward.
Yeah, I feel like the Kansas game could be sneaky for them because they lost by 3 to UNLV, only 6 to Illinois without Ness, 4 to West Virginia, 4 to Arizona State, and they blew out Houston. And they lost by 2 to Kansas State. So this isn't like some pushover Kansas team. I like the quarterback. I think they do compete every week despite having the bad record. They've been in every single game. So I think Iowa State should be a little bit concerned and take this game serious.
Yeah, the one thing is, like quarterback-wise, I just don't think Kansas has it. You know what I mean? I know you like it, but I just think that it just hasn't been there as consistently as they would expect.
Yeah, I agree. Washington State, Colorado climbing up a little bit at 21, and Kansas State falls down to 22. Colorado has a test with Texas Tech this week. That should be a fun one too, because I just don't know what to expect from Colorado every week. I'm still on the fence of like, do they suck? But they're winning games and they're exciting.
They are box office. Like every single week, you want to watch them. Like it is so fun that they are on this like Big 12 schedule where they are one of the last games and it's kind of marquee. It's like the one of the only games you actually want to watch. And this is another game where it's actually going to be midday, so there's going to be a lot going on. I don't think it's going to get lost in the shuffle. Colorado coming off of a bye that could really game plan. They've seen what Texas Tech can do and they know how dangerous they are. And Texas Tech, you've got to feel good about your chances. You don't really control your own destiny because you need a couple of chips to fall. But with this win and, one other loss here or there, they could end up being in this, foot race for the Big 12. So keep an eye on that. That one's going to be a huge matchup. I'm excited for that one. That's
Yeah,
going to be fun.
and just for the individual players, Shador needs to keep playing well to impress not just he needs to impress NFL scouts. That's his main
Yeah.
goal this year. And Travis Hunter, I want to say not since like early in the year where he caught the awkward reach around touchdown pass, like pause. Uh he hasn't really had this Heisman moment. Like he's been really good, but I don't feel like he's had like a true Heisman moment where you're like, holy shit, like this is the guy who's gonna win it. So I would love to see him have one of those on either side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, but he just keeps racking up the stats. He's been playing awesome on both sides of the ball. He is now the first player, I think, ever to have the offensive and defensive player of the week in one season. So, I mean, he's got some feathers in his cap for sure.
Yeah, I
And
think
if he continues to perform in these games that actually matter, where it's like, hey, we are looking to make a push in this Big 12, we could possibly get into the playoffs. Like, that's huge. People were thinking that they were going to be another 4 or 5 win team and he would still get Heisman buzz. Like, it means so much more now that they are in this spot.
yeah, the closer it gets, the more I'm like, I do kind of want them to be in the Big 12 championship and see what he does and see what Shador does. Like, do they fold kind of under the pressure of that, or are they going to ball out and defy the odds?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting down the stretch for sure.
Final three, Pittsburgh with the loss. Who did Pittsburgh lose to?
They got smashed by SMU.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it wasn't even close. So Pittsburgh wasn't real the whole time, I guess.
Yeah, that's tough. That is 100% tough.
We
I mean,
were
they're going to
hyping
bounce.
up Pittsburgh. We were hyping
Well,
up
their
Pittsburgh
defense
pretty high
looked
last week.
nasty, but I mean, SMU came out of the gate struggling, but ever since the first 2 weeks, they have just kind of rolled. And I mean, realistically, even that loss doesn't look bad. It was a loss to BYU. Like,
Yeah.
so we've seen now BYU is real as hell. So you feel good about that. Pittsburgh, I don't think is going to be able to rebound from this loss. I think they're just going to stay kind of bottom of the pack. Louisville, they make it into the top 25 after their win over Clemson, where they actually looked dominant. At no point did Clemson really feel like they were at all going to be able to challenge Louisville.
Bro, I'm
And
adding
Louisville,
Louisville to my list of why the fuck am I betting on or against them? Because every week I don't know what the fuck to expect from Louisville. How are you this good last week, but you're terrible the week before? Like I am so frustrated betting on Louisville. That Clemson game ruined me.
it was crazy. I mean, realistically, I mean, just to kind of pop back up to Clemson, your offense couldn't compete. You couldn't go bar for bar, toe to toe with Louisville. You couldn't keep up with it. Your defense, on the other hand, was such a disappointment as well. But you figured like we could put up point at least, even if our defense struggled. We know Louisville actually can put up points. We've seen it against, Miami, where they're going to put up 50, 60 points. You knew that was they were capable of that. Why couldn't your offense do that? Like, so you got to feel bad. I don't think Clemson, they need to go back to the drawing board. If Dabo is going to continue to put out this type of product, they are not even going to make it to the college football playoff. you got to be disappointed with that.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from this ACC because who's going to go against Miami? And then I feel like any one of these teams could have a good day and beat Miami in the ACC championship game.
Well, now it's a 2-horse race. Realistically, Miami doesn't play Clemson and it doesn't play SMU the rest of this way. SMU obviously doesn't play either of those teams either. So they can go undefeated, and it's going to be undefeated Miami in the ACC and undefeated SMU in the ACC. And I think SMU would win that game.
I think they do. Yeah, I agree. And then Vandy, I love some Diego Pavia. I want him to have a great year. And I think 8 wins and a bowl win is an amazing year for Vanderbilt in the SEC, where everyone was saying they were terrible. I think that's a win for them as a program.
Yeah, 100%. But they're now going against a red hot South Carolina team, and they just got their marquee win against Texas A&M. Texas A&M just super dropped the ball. We had already put them in the college football playoff. We really jumped the gun on that one. I mean, fuck, like you can't call anything anymore.
Because South Carolina, another hot, super cold team, where it's like 1 week they're getting blown out, the next they're blowing out a really good team. I just don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad Missouri fell off the top 25. If we're going to be completely honest, they had no business being here or ranked.
Well,
so that's good to see.
They might be back because others receiving votes. They have 81 votes there, which I don't understand. If they are not a good team, they're not beating anyone good. Like, why are we even considering Missouri?
We need to stop ranking in the preseason. We need to wait until games have actually been played to start ranking, because this is bullshit. Like the fact that Missouri was ranked this high, that Notre Dame is still in it despite their strength of schedule. Like this is kind of bullshit, but it is what it is, dude. I mean, I think the play should speak for itself, but just to even be like, oh, Missouri deserves to be here. No, you don't. At no point have they been a top 25 team. No, 100% no.
All right. Well, that's all we have for the top 25. Looking forward to this Saturday. It's going to be chaos. I love it. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. We're almost to 500. So we'll see you next time.
Later.